Okay, so like a few weeks ago, I went on this date with someone that I met from Hinge. And so we went to this wine bar that was close by. You know, we started talking about usual first date things like where you're from, what do you spend your time doing, what's your stance on abortion, you know, like the usual stuff. And so throughout the date, veganism comes up because they asked me, oh, what do you do and what do you spend your time doing? And so obviously I bring up the channel and the content that I make on it. And what's funny, if you're vegan, you know what I'm talking about. If you ever mention you're vegan, or I should say a lot of the times when you mention you're vegan to someone, they start saying things like, oh, well yeah, I could never be vegan. And they start justifying why they're either not vegan or why they could never be vegan. And I don't know, people just like tend to have that reaction. So the person starts saying like, oh, you know, like I could never be vegan, blah, blah, blah. And so I end up just saying, hey, like, you know what? I'm not really here to, you know, try to convince you to be vegan, or we don't really have to talk about that. I'll be honest, like, I get awkward about it too. I just start stumbling through it, just like praying for the moment to end, because I'm still not great at broaching the subject, especially when you just first meet someone in that kind of setting, you know what I mean? But anyways, so then we change topics, and I think, phew, coast is clear. But then later on in the conversation, they ask me, do you mind if I ever order non-vegan food in front of you? And I just think, oh God, like, please don't make me answer these questions. And I just say what I usually say in the situation, which is, you know, I don't pretend to live in this fairy tale world where people are vegan. Like, I recognize that I'm in a non-vegan world. Everything around me is non-vegan. And you're not gonna shock my pants off by ordering something non-vegan in front of me. I try to just leave it there because I also don't wanna say, yeah, like, I don't care at all, like, order whatever you want. Because, you know, I am trying to strike the balance between not just, like I said, saying, oh, I don't care at all, because I do care, but at the same time, recognizing and acknowledging that this is the first time that I'm meeting this person and they probably don't know what veganism really is at all. And I can imagine that if I went on a date with someone and they said, oh, I'm keto and I care that you order keto food, as ridiculous as that sounds to me, I can see how ridiculous it would sound for someone else to care whether or not you're eating vegan food. You know what I mean? And I especially don't want to alienate someone who I could be having a really good time with, and maybe later on we could talk about veganism and why they're ordering a non-vegan food item could, you know, matter to me. But anyway, so that wrapped up the first date, and we agreed to go on a second date. And I talked to my friend Steven from Nolo Plant Powered. You should check out his channel. And I just told him about the situation. I was like, oh, like I didn't know what to say. I just kind of, like I said, I just was kind of hoping it would end the vegan parts. And so we came up with like a phrase or something that we both liked, or at least I liked, that I feel like, or we felt like you could say in that kind of situation. And what it is saying something like, I wasn't vegan all my life, and if I went out with someone who was vegan and we were having a great time, I wouldn't want to feel judged by that person for not being vegan. So I wouldn't want to do that to you. I really just want to focus tonight on having a great time with you. I don't know, what do you guys think? You think that's a good line? I thought it was pretty good, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna use that in my next encounter. Okay, so we go to the second date. Well, we go to a Christmas market, allegedly the best one in Europe. And so I was looking for a fantastic vegan sausage, but alas, no luck. But anyways, we were just chit-chatting, and then we decided, let's go grab a drink at this underground pub. So we go, and now we're sitting, we're talking. And so then they ask me, is it important to you for your partner to be vegan? And then again, I thought, oh God, not again. No, but then, you know what? I was like, I'm just gonna use the line. So I just hit them with the line. And I just kind of did that instinctively, because if you think about it, that line doesn't really answer the question that they had asked me. So obviously the next thing they say is, okay, that's great, but do you care if your partner is vegan? Just, you know, out of curiosity. And so I was just thinking, because obviously I do care, but like I mentioned earlier, I could see how it could be strange for you to say that to somebody. But I realized, you know what, I'm really not good at teetering around the truth, and I'm just at my best when I'm being honest. So I said, whatever, I'll just be honest with them. And so I said, yeah, And so I said, yes, that it does matter to me if my partner long-term is vegan. And I tried to explain to them that it would be like if you were dating someone who was against women's rights, and they would remind you of that 3 times a day every day. And I also tried to explain, I don't know if I did a good job of it, for me to answer that question, it's skipping a lot of steps in the middle explaining why I'm vegan, what being vegan means to me. Because, if you just see it as this random diet, then yeah, it comes off as this irrational answer. But if you take the time to explain and explore what it means to be vegan to someone who's vegan, it makes more sense why someone would answer, yes, it does matter to me if my long-term partner is vegan. And actually they were super open to the reply, and they said, yeah, that makes sense to me. And so I thought, cool, great, sounds perfect. So then we wrapped up that date, and we agreed to meet like a third time. So I thought, awesome. The topics of discussion haven't been too disagreeable. And so we ended up going on the third date, and they let me know that they just wanted to be friends. No, I'm just being dramatic. I just told them it was fine, because it is fine. I mean, rejection is normal. It's a normal part of life, even if it does sting a little bit. But what was great is we still ended up hanging out the rest of the evening. What was interesting to me was that now that I felt like, well, we're just gonna be friends, I felt so much more at ease, especially when we were talking about veganism. I felt like I could just express myself more and talk about how I really felt without caring so much about whether or not it would affect how they would perceive me. I feel like I could let my passion about veganism come out a little bit more. And it's funny how that works psychologically, because when we were hanging out before, I didn't feel like I was holding anything back. But then after I realized we were just gonna be friends, that weight sort of lifted off my shoulder. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm still relatively new to dating as a vegan, so I'm still trying to figure out how to, just navigate the whole thing. And you might be wondering, oh, well, why don't you just date a vegan? And my answer to that is, have you tried dating recently? It is hard. And I think honestly, more importantly, for me, it's more important to date someone who is open-minded, because I wish I had dated a vegan who was willing to date non-vegans before I was vegan, because maybe they could have helped me make the connection sooner and go vegan earlier. So yeah, I just think for me the most important thing is finding someone who's open-minded and will give it the time and the thought that it deserves. And so I think that is what would be important to me. And so yeah, that's the story. But anyways, yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and if you liked it, consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Hasta luego.